Hi everyone, hope you're keeping well. Welcome to another live ukulele jam with me, Matt Stead. This time we've got something a little bit different. I'm currently travelling to or from or teaching on the Ukulele Caribbean cruise at the moment. I know many of you really look forward to your regular Monday Kanicapilas. So what I've done is I've handpicked 3 of my favourite recent Kanikapila live jams and I've presented them here as replays. You can download the sheets as normal and you can even join in the community chat. I'll try and drop in if I'm able to as well and say hello. We'll be back to normal with our regular Kanikapilas live in March. In the meantime, enjoy the replay, have loads of fun, and I'm sending my love and best wishes from the Caribbean Sea. Take care, everyone. Okay, let's have a look at our sheets today. Seeing as you've had me silenced for so long, I'd better get on and teach you something, right? So, as I said at the start, which you wouldn't have been able to hear, all the songs tonight have a theme of liberty and freedom, which works well as it's Martin Luther King Day. So we'll celebrate his life. So we've got songs all about freedom and they all work as songs about bells as well. So lots of ding-dongs in there, which is great. Just a reminder how Kanikapila works. We've got the sheets where we have the chords and the lyrics that you can look up. Exactly, Trisha. Yeah, exactly. And we've also got the chord boxes, and this is the way I always taught Kanikapila traditionally. It kind of gets you to think about how chord structures work and why those chords sound so nice together. So we number the chords in any key, 1, 3 to 7, C being the 1 chord, then we just count up on our hands. Remember, well, you don't have to remember because I'll always be here to tell you, but the 2nd, the 3rd and the 6th chord in any key are minor chords, and the 1st, the 4th and the 5th are major chords. So we've got C major, or just C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and then that unusual B diminished at the end, which rarely comes up unless we're playing jazz or something a little bit more unusual. So you notice that here all of these chords belong in the key of C. A couple of them have been altered slightly, so we've got like an A minor 7 and a D minor 7. I'll tell you a little bit about those when we get there. But notice we've got some really clear patterns on this song, for instance. We've got the 1 chord, which opens up the song. It feels resolved. It kind of sets the tone. The 3 chord in any song is the sad chord. So that's sorry, Laura said, what is dusting a new song? So the 3 chord in any song is a sad sounding chord, and that kind of works in this song because it has a melancholy about it. The 4 chord, C, D, E, F, is about creating a sense of change, and that 4 chord just takes you to a new place. And then the 5 chord is all about tension. And you'll notice that we've got the 5 chord there, the G chord, C, D, E, F, G. And quite often that 5 chord comes at the end of a line. Because you get that tension, it makes you want to go back to the start and kind of do it all over again, if that makes sense. So if you have a look at the verses, you notice we've got these patterns, 1, 3, 4, 5. It's like the chords are just rising in pitch, which is really lovely. And then at the end of the verse, we've got that nice play off between the 4 and the 5 chord. It just builds tension, and then that gets relieved when we go to the chorus. But notice even the chorus is the same chords, right? C, F and G. That resolution, building tension, then resolution again. So we'll check it out as we go. This song is a brilliant song by one of my absolute favourite bands. We've got a couple of Welsh themes tonight, interestingly. I didn't do that on purpose. But this is a band called Super Furry Animals. Amazing band. They've actually reunited for a tour. I'm going to see them later this year, which I'm really excited about. And this one's from their, I think it's their 6th album called Phantom Power, which has lots of kind of really organic acoustic sounding songs, lots of nice harmonies, Beach Boys-esque and stuff, which is really, really lovely. So let's take a look at it then. We're just going to do a standard kind of calypso strum for this one. And this one is really slow tempo. I always have to remind myself not to play this one too quick. So in terms of the strum, we're just going to do that classic down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. Down, down, up, down, up. Okay, so really, really simple. And each one of those is a measure. Oh, Shao, by the way, just ever so quickly, I sent you an email earlier, but I have heard back from Speech House about your room. It's all sorted. I'll send those details on to you later today or tomorrow. So if we were to put that into one of the verses, that would sound like this. Each one of those is a measure, or one of the boxes. We play C, E minor, F and G. Then we repeat it for the next line. Notice when I go from C to E minor, I can get this finger ready at any point. So then I've only got to move 2 to get to that E minor. Then we just get that build from F to G twice. Sweet and simple. If the opening chords sound familiar, that's because it's the same as the opening to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That Brother Is, the version he does. Somewhere over the rainbow. So it's, yeah, really similar kind of melancholic chords, which is really, really nice. When we get to the chorus, notice that we've got 2 chords in one box. So when we're in normal common time, that just means 4/4 time. That means that we're going to play each for half a measure or 2 beats. It's a lot easier than it sounds because they're fairly simple chords and it's quite a slow song. So we would have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Then in the second part of the chorus, we get these beautiful minor chords. Remember, minor chords are all about either darkness or sadness or melancholy. And it works really well because this whole song is about kind of, as well as being about freedom and fighting for freedom, it's also about kind of the destruction of the planet and stuff. I know it's a bit depressing, but so it's kind of like a Byrds view of the destruction of the planet. So this, at this point, is quite sad in the song. So it makes sense that we've got those sad chords. So we have the 6th chord A minor, followed by E minor. But then we're just back to that 4/5 pattern, F and G. And then the same pattern we had before, 1, 4, 5. Okay. Let's practice a chorus together. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, F, G, C, F, G, A minor, E minor, F, G, C, F and G. Okay. I'll do it with the lyrics as well, so you can just have a little practice. Notice that the chords in the chorus, we're already playing a G from the verse before, but the actual first chord, the C chord, comes in right at the end of the first sentence. You know we're digging to hell. See that? Drowning in our oil wells. As the magpies fly from Tallahassee to the sea. And then we're back to another verse, which is really nice. Then we've got one other bit, which is not too bad. I'll show you how to play it in terms of the chords. So we've got D minor 7. Now that's like if you imagine you're playing an F, if we add this extra ring finger underneath our second finger, that gives us D minor. Well, to get D minor 7, we just add our pinky down here, little finger. And that's called the 7, D minor 7, because C, which is that note there, is a 7th note in the key of D. That's why we call it D minor 7. Don't sweat the theory too much. But yeah, D minor shape, little finger there. If you can't get your little finger down for whatever reason, you can just play a D minor there, will be fine. And then G chord. And then A minor 7, no fingers at all. Okay, so D minor 7, G, and then just take your fingers off. Notice we're going to play that line 3 times. Then we've got one more time. Then we've got F, G, C, that 4, 5, 1, C, F, G. Makes me think of La Bamba, that la 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 bamba, which uses similar chords again. It's amazing how many songs use the same chords for various reasons. Now that's basically it. That's the reason that works, if anyone's really nerdy and they're into their chord progressions, is that the bridge is using what we call a 2-5-1 pattern. One of the most common chord combinations in the whole of music is the 2 chord, D minor, followed by the 5 chord, G, and then you'd normally get the 1 chord, 2, 5, 1. Like, that's brilliant that Trish has noticed that, because that's exactly what's happening here. Just like the Love song that we did had D minor 7, G, C. Now the reason we've got A minor 7 at the end is just because it's more melancholic and it's that kind of song. But notice A minor 7 is only 1 note different from C. That's why it works. So you can always substitute the 1 chord for the 6th chord. It sounds really nice. Just adds a little bit more melancholy, which is really, really sweet. So that's what's happening there, just in case you're interested. You can play it anyway. I think that's everything I need to tell you about this one. We're not going to solo on this one, but don't panic. We are going to have an opportunity to solo on the next song. If you did want to have a noodle about with soloing on this one, you'd use your A minor pentatonic, which is it's your open A string and all the dots, if you remember. Or the E string, but just make sure you don't play the 7th fret. You have to go up to 8. But don't worry, we'll have some opportunity to do that later on in the show. Victoria, if you have trouble with that little finger, I sometimes do as well, particularly because I've got small hands. It's easy when I'm playing a soprano tonight. On tenor it can be a struggle. What you could do is think about how else you could play this D minor 7. And one of the places you can play a D minor 7 is just by borrowing the whole of the 5th fret. So you could play D minor 7 there, G, and A minor 7. And that's kind of interesting, a quick little bit of learning. It makes sense that this is a D minor 7. Why? Well, if we know A minor 7 is no fingers, and every time we go up a fret, we go up half a step in the scale. So A minor 7, A sharp minor 7, B minor 7, C minor 7, C sharp minor 7, D minor 7. So it's really helpful sometimes to know chords in at least 2 different places, because then if there's one you can't do, there's another one that might work, which is really nice. So there you go, Victoria, magic. Ta-da! Okay, let's have a go at our first song. I know I've raced through that a little bit today, but we'll take some more time on the other songs. But just to get us playing, let's give it a go. I'll keep this page up so you can see the lyrics as well. And just let me move up a tiny bit so you can see my uke. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right, here we go. So let's just roll a C to get us going. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Liberty Bell is ringing out across the sea. And everyone sings along, though she's singing way out of key. From the shores of Galilee to the runways of Anglesey, you know we're digging to hell. drowning in our oil wells, as the magpies fly from Tallahassee to the sky. Memory lane forgot her way after all this time, and she never learned from all her mistakes and all the crime. Guilt of misery that's separating you from me. You know we're going to hell, right down our oil wells, as the seagulls fly from Abu Dhabi to the sky. Here's our bridge. The birds still sing their melodies, songs of love and food and trees. So little do they know, yet their days are numbered so. Alarms are ringing in the trees. You know we're digging to hell, drowning in our oil wells, as the ashes fly from New York City, past the grimy clouds above New Jersey. Whoops! Past the kids who like to smoke like chimneys to the sky. Let's do that chorus one more time since I got it wrong. There we go. You know we're digging to hell, drowning in our own wells, as the ashes fly from New York City, past the grimy clouds above New Jersey, past the kids who like to smoke like chimneys to the sky. Second time lucky, right? Hope you enjoyed that, guys. So something a little bit different there. It's a really sweet song and an absolutely brilliant album. The Furries were amazing. I've seen, they're one of the bands that I think I've seen more than any other, partly because I went to uni in Bristol and I was in a band, and we always had gigs in South Wales, in Cardiff and Newport. And of course, whenever you're doing gigs in Cardiff and Newport, you always see the guys from the Furries about, and they'd always go and see other bands playing, which was I always loved as well. If you enjoyed that, there's another band from Wales called El Godot. They split up recently, but their albums are amazing. They're a great band as well that not a lot of people have heard about. They were really influenced by Super Furry Animals, which is nice. Yeah, isn't that bridge lovely? Yeah, really, really nice. I like that. And the chorus sounding like La Bamba. It's amazing, isn't it? How a lot of these chords come about, and they work in different songs. New one for Indrani. I like that. That's cool. Oh, and Karen really liked that. Yes, New Jersey does have grimy clouds. There we go. Trisha, have you seen that show about the Pine Barrens? I had no idea. I hadn't heard of the Pine Barrens, and then I was watching. I think it is on Amazon Prime. There's a film all about them, and it's really fascinating that kind of right in the heart of New Jersey, you've got this area of beauty and kind of there's nothing there. It was really fascinating. I loved it, so I'd love to go and visit that at some point. But yeah, really, really cool. Shell said, many times I've wrestled with whether I should keep trying to finger a particular chord properly or opt for a different version. The E chord immediately comes to mind, 5-5-2 versus 5-5-5-7. Yeah, that's a really good point, Shell, and something to think about. Sometimes certain chords, they just work in other positions, partly because the last note that you hear affects things. So, for instance, when you do an E chord, which was one of Shell's example, which you can play like this, or you can do the doubling up. You can also play it by barring the 4th fret and going up to the the, what are we, 7th, can't count 7th fret up there. Now I find this version easier to play, but sometimes because of that high E, it clashes with this B note, which, sorry, having to really squeeze my fingers in on that soprano. So sometimes you've got to try both and see which works. Sometimes some of the notes, melody notes high up on our soprano, they can clash with the lyrics, the melody. But I will quite often mix it up. Another thing that I love to do is to play one set of chords in, say, the first verse and another set in the second. So, for instance, on this one, I could play the opening down here. Liberty Bell is ringing out across the sea. Then I could go up for maybe chords up here. Although everyone... what have I got? Yeah, so I could do... Although everyone sings along. I could do an F here. Da 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 da. And it kind of creates a nice sense of change between the verses. That's another thing to do as well. But yeah, mix and match. And always think, if it sounds good and it feels good, it is good. That's the way I always like. That's really interesting, Charlene, that you mentioned that. The lyrics don't match up with the upbeat nature. That's a real kind of important facet of one of my favourite types of music, which you guys probably know, that I love indie pop, which is like, you know, it kind of goes back to the 80s and bands like the Smiths and the Go-Betweens and the Cure, but lots of other bands recently. But one thing that kind of unites a lot of indie pop music is the fact that the chords will be really upbeat, yet the lyrics will be really reflective and sad. That's kind of what Brian Wilson used to do with the Beach Boys, wasn't it? You had all these upbeat, beautiful chords and lushness like on Pet Sounds, and then you had the melancholy of the lyrics, which was really nice. God Only Knows is the perfect example, really, where the words are really sad actually, and quite longing, but the chords are just so beautiful and upbeat. So Colin, El Goodo, look them up, they're amazing, really, really great band. Topper was another band that were around in the 90s in Wales that were absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's take a look at something completely different now. Now this is really interesting. The reason I chose this one is that A, it has the word bell in it, because we're doing all songs about bells. B, it's about freedom and kind of fighting oppression. And C, this is written by, the original poem was written by a Welshman. So we got a nice segue from the super furry animals into this one. So this was written by a guy called Idris Davis, who was a poet in the kind of 20s, 30s and 40s. Really brilliant poet. And he went down the mines. He worked in the mines since he was 14. And he wrote this poem, which was all about, it's kind of a play on, if anyone knows it, the nursery rhymes, the bells of St. Clement's. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's. Oh, what will you give me, say the sad bells of Rumney. So he kind of took that rhythm and he turned it into a poem. But originally it wasn't set with a melody, it was literally just words. And it's, if you read the lyrics, they're all about different mines in South Wales. So you've got Rumney, that's quite near Merthyr Tydfil. Up in the valleys north of Cardiff. It's where my grandma was from, funnily enough. And then you've got Merthyr itself, Merthyr Tydfil in the valleys, South Wales. Got Rhondda, a lot of you will have heard of the Rhondda Valley, and Blaenau as well. So it's all these, and even Newport and Cardiff, which we were talking about. And Wye, which some of you might know from Ross on Wye, where I used to live back in the day. So it's all about mining villages of South Wales, and kind of fighting against the oppression they had. They had terrible conditions, and there were lots of accidents. You've probably heard of the famous accident of Aberfan, where a big spoil heap collapsed in 1966 on a whole school. So sad. 100 kids died in that one. It's just awful. That was the one you might, if you've watched The Crown, it talks about that quite a lot, because everyone wanted the Queen to go and visit, but she said she didn't want to visit until she didn't want to be a distraction. It created this whole thing. Anyway, I'm rambling. So Pete Seeger took Idris Davis' poem and put it to melody, and it's really brilliant. It's really simple in terms of the chords, but there are some quite unusual ones in here which I find quite fascinating. So let's take a look at it. Oh, I don't know that one, Trisha. I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, I'll look that up. So let's have a look at what's happening. Now the chords are a little bit few and far between, because this one is in 6/8 time, which I'll talk about in a minute. But that means all the kind of the measures are pulled apart a little bit. But notice the chords are relatively similar to what we were doing in the last song, because it's largely based around the 1, 4 and 5 chords. Now this one's in the key of G, so we have to think differently, right, when we do this. It would be, G would be our 1 chord, then A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, and then an F sharp diminished, and we don't have to worry about that one. So you notice we've got the 1, 4 and 5 chords a lot. That's G, creating a sense of resolution. The 4 chords C, G, A, B, C, creating a sense of change, and then the D chord creating a kind of a real kind of sense of tension in it. So that's what we have. We also have a few minor chords, a bit like the last song, because it's really important to have a little bit of melancholy in there. So this one is in 6/8 time, as I mentioned. So that means 6 beats in every measure. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in every measure. So that verse, that opening verse, don't worry about the intro because it's just a rolling G. That opening verse, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice the next measure is split up in half. We've got 2 chords. So what does that mean? 6 divided by 2, we just do 3 C's, 3 G's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the melancholy of the 2 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that first line of the verse will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're back to that G. The next bit is kind of has a slightly similar feel. We start on the 1 chord up here, G for 2 measures. It's the last 2 measures of that second line. And then this time on the 3rd line, we have F to A minor and a tension of the 5 chord. I love this point in the song. It's really, really beautiful. The F chord, incidentally, if you're into your theory, we call that the 4 of the 4. What does that mean? The reason it works, even though it's not in the key of G, is that it's 4 above the 4 chords. So and our ears love hearing chords that are a 4th apart. Remember, we looked at that in our workshop recently. So 4 of 4 means in the key of G, the 4 chord is C, G, A, B, C. That makes sense, right? G, A, B, C. What is 4 above C? C, D, E, F. So we call that F chord the 4 of 4. Don't worry about it too much, but just know it always works in any key, the 4 of 4, which is great. And it creates, it's got a sadness to it. And then you get the tension of the D. Now, the chords look all jumbled up, but notice the next bit's the same again. G for 2 measures. Then we got F, A minor, D again. Then the bottom 2 lines, we're kind of back to the start again. G. So really, really beautiful chord progression there. Yeah, and it was so sad, so sad. It still kind of resonates today in the valleys. It's yeah, absolute tragedy it was. Let's just put that together with a bit of a strum pattern so you can see how it works. Now bring this page up, makes it a little bit clearer. So you could just do down strums for those 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down, 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 down. But if you kind of want to mix it up a little bit, which is what I like to do, if you do that walk, running, running pattern we often use, that's down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Okay. You can think of that as walk, running, running, walk, running, running, walk, running, running, walk, running, running. Okay. What you can do is you can use that pattern twice on every chord, in every measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walk, running, running, walk, running, running. And that's the rhythm that I like to use on this. If you listen to Pete Seeger's original, the first bit, it wouldn't work if we're doing it Kanikapila because we'd all be playing in different times. But he plays it what we call rubato. So he kind of speeds up and slows down. It doesn't follow any set rhythm when he plays it. There's a lovely version on YouTube of him doing it live instantly. But the Byrds, who covered this in the 60s, later on in the 60s, they kind of made it a bit more pop-tastic and followed this kind of just driving 6/8 rhythm, which you'll hear. Anthony, well done for keeping that library going, and good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Okay, so let's try a verse just so we can get going. You can get an idea, and we'll just roll a G just to get us going. Here we go. Oh, what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Romney. Is there hope for the future? Say the brown bells of Merthyr. You can hang on to that, D. And who made the mine owner? Say the black bells of Rhondda. And who killed the miner? Say the grim bells of Blythe. Really cool kind of way it draws it out, doesn't it? That 6/8 timing, which is really nice. Notice that the next verse, which is it's laid out on the page before, but it might actually be one of the rare cases where it really is easier to see it with the lyrics. So I might just go to this page here. Notice that we have a slight change when we go to the second and third lines of the verse. So it starts the same. Let me come in and close cam. Put the vandals in chords, say the bells of Newport. Okay, but then this next bit, we've got an E minor. All would be well if, really kind of ratchets up the kind of sadness, which is lovely. Now remember, you can either go from G to E minor by moving all your fingers, like so, 1, 2, 3 in a row. Or you can use my trick, where you can just put your ring finger on the 4th fret of the C string, because that cancels out this finger. See, no difference, okay? So you could do your E minor like that, which is what I do. All would be well if, say the... And then we're back to the same pattern as before. Green bells of Cardiff. The next bit has an A major in it, which really gives it a lift. This is really kind of Byrdsy-esque. So this is the Byrds that really kind of put this one in. I think originally it's an A minor in the Pete Seeger version. But it really lifts it. Have a listen to this. So worried sisters, why sang the silver bells of wine. Isn't that lovely? You expect a minor, but you get this A chord, which is really, really lovely. And then we're back to our tension and resolution. What will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rumi, to finish off, which is really lovely. If you say it in Welsh, I can't pronounce it completely in Welsh, but it's like Rumney rather than Rimney, just so you know. So I think the Byrds sing Rimney. I think Pete Seeger's more like Rumney. The funny thing is, when Pete Seeger does this, he kind of, every version I've heard, whether it's on record or live, he always sings it with a Scottish accent. Sad bells of Rhymney, which is kind of, I don't know whether he's confusing his Celtic regions, but it should be Welsh anyway. But we'll let him off because Pete Seeger's an absolute hero, so it's totally cool. Yeah. Les is saying she remembers the song by the Byrds, but had no idea what the lyrics were about. There you go. It's a magic. And when you come over, Leslie, in the summer, or anyone else that's coming over, the Forest of Dean, where we hold the retreat, is really close. It's the next county along from Monmouthshire, which is where Rumney is, in the Welsh Valleys. So we're basically on the border of Wales, where I am now. You can almost see it from my house if you jumped high enough. So that's the song structure. If you want to, on this one, you could do a little bit of soloing. Because we're going to have this big instrumental break where we play through a verse. If you want to strum, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to play a solo. But if you want to give it a go, because we're in the key of G, this one's using something called the G major pentatonic or the E minor pentatonic. They both have the same notes, just in a different order. So the G major pentatonic starts up at the 7th fret of the C string. For a G, it goes up to the 9th. Then we come back here for the 7th fret again. Okay. Then we go up here for a D at the 10th, an E here. This is your bottom diagram, and your G here. So that's the kind of the simplest, smoothest sounding notes in the key of G. It takes away 2 notes that sometimes clash with certain chords. That's why we play it. And yeah, as Indrani says, it's the My Girl riff. So if you play the G major pentatonic from top to bottom with a certain rhythm, I got sunshine. It's the riff from My Girl. You can also pair that up with the E minor pentatonic, which starts on the 4th fret of the C string. See, that's an E. It will go up to the 7th fret, for G. And then we'll get 5-7 for A and B, and 5-7 for D and E. Notice the patterns. If you can get used to those patterns, and you can do so much on this uke in terms of soloing. And this one, think about how to play those notes. If we just play loads of random notes one after another, it kind of won't sound like anything. Let me give you an example. I'll just switch my speaker on for a second. Okay. So if I was to just play kind of notes at random. Well, because all of those notes technically work, let me just turn that down slightly. Because those notes all technically work, they sound okay, but it doesn't have any sense of feeling to it. So a real clever way to get you soloing straight away without overthinking it is to use the rhythm of the verses. So you know how the verses go in phrases. Oh, what will you give me? And then a gap. Say the sad bells of Rhymney. Then another gap. And that's a good way to think about your solo. If you leave little gaps between the phrases, let me do that again. It'll sound really nicely. Leave a gap. we go. Then I'll go again. Gap. 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 So don't feel like you've got to fill up all the space. Let those phrases breathe. And remember, as long as you hit any of those notes, you won't get a wrong one. If you do hit a wrong note, just move it left or right and you'll get a right note. You'll be absolutely fine. Let's give it a go then. Let's harness our inner Pete Seeger and we'll give this a try. Remember, rhythm wise, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or if you're thinking 6/8 time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you one last thing, guys. You can also, because we've got those long G's, you can add suspended chords to kind of make it a little bit more interesting, which is what Pete Seeger did a lot. So when we're playing this G, if you get bored from just stay on it for so long, if you lift up this finger that's on the A string, you get a G sus2, because we're taking the second note in the key of G, A, B, third note, sorry, this B, and we're swapping it out for the second note, A. So we call it G sus2. And you can also add your little finger here to the third fret of the A string. For a sus4, we're adding the fourth note in G, C. So you'll often see guitarists and uke players do this. Give it a go when you're on the G chord. It sounds really sweet and yeah, kind of really works. And Trisha, yeah, absolutely, you can mix those two pentatonics together. That's the brilliant thing about it, because they're like patterns. If you can remember those two patterns, it allows you to play chords all over the fretboard, which is absolutely fantastic. Hi Harry, hope you're doing well. Give my love to Donna, mate. Look at, I'm counting down the days until I see you. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Okay, let's give it a try then, guys. From the top, we'll roll that G, try some suspended chords by taking off these fingers on the A string. Here we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, G. Oh, what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rumney. Is there hope for the future? Say the brown boughs of Merthyr. Who made the mine owner? Say the black boughs of Rhondda. And who killed the miner? Say the grim boughs of the Vandals in chords. Say the bells of Newport. All would be well if say the bells of Cardiff. And all would to the sisters sang the silver bells of wine. Oh, what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rumney. Try an instrumental, guys. what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Romney. Is there hope for the future? Say the brown bells of Merthyr. Who made the mine owner? Say the black bells of Rhondda. And who killed the miner? Say the grim bells of Blythe. Fantastic, well done guys. I made a bit of a boo-boo in verse 2. I think I got a little bit mixed up with my words, but hopefully you're able to follow that reasonably well. It's a great song, isn't it? I love these old kind of protest songs, just really kind of quite powerful. Really, and Pete Seeger was so good at catching those. I love the chords he used in this. Relatively straightforward in terms of like the 1, 4, 5 chords, but the way you get that F chord and the A minor coming in, and that A major that comes in later on, really quite interesting stuff. Really beautiful and brilliant as well. And do check his version out. It's like I say, he starts it very kind of he's almost, what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Romney. He'll just do it's like individual downstrokes, but it sounds great. But you can't do that when you're playing with lots of other people, because obviously if you're all doing it together, you need to be playing it at the same time. So on with another song then. So this next one moves on really nicely from the Pete Seeger song, because this next one is a Bob Dylan song, and Bob Dylan of course was really influenced by folk musicians like Pete Seeger. He was particularly into Woody Guthrie, wasn't he, in terms of his own influences. Brilliant, Victoria. Yeah, absolutely, bring your banjolele along, that would be really nice. It works really well, that kind of old time bluegrass stuff on banjolele, so yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this one is a protest song. It's in the key of G, which is the same key as the Pete Seeger song we just did. It's also in 6/8 timing, so you'll have that under your fingers. You can see what I've done here. And it also uses very similar chords. In fact, this one is a lot more straightforward. There's no 4 of 4 or anything. It's just the 1, 4, 5 chords, G, C, and D. And then we've also got the 6 chord in there thrown in for a touch of melancholy. G, A, B, C, D, E. Sorry, that should say 2 chord. I was obviously thinking in the key of G C when I did the sheets. Where it says A minor, that should say 2. Sorry, G, A. I can't count. But yeah, just introduces a touch of melancholy, which is really nice. Oh, I love it. Fantastic. I love that, Barbara. Brilliant. Chimes of Freedom, one of Barbara's favourite songs. I think it's very appropriate right now, isn't it? It's quite epic, just to warn you guys. We've got, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verses and 6 chorus. So it's quite a long song. So, but it's great. And some of the words in this, I mean, the poetry is just brilliant. Through the mad mystic hammering of the wild ripping hail, the sky cracked poems in naked wonder, that the clanging of the church bells far into the breeze, leaving only bells, lightning, and its thunder. I mean, like, that's beat poetry, isn't it? Just amazing. This one's off Dylan's album Another Side of Dylan, if you're interested, which has got some great songs and lots of Bob Dylan poetry on the back. So if you enjoy the poetry of it, we've been very poetic tonight, aren't we? That's the record for you, which is really lovely. It's got some cool songs on it as well. Ends with It Ain't Me Babe, which is that classic early Dylan, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. So let's have a look at how this one's working. As I say, we're in the key of G. So we're starting with the 1 chord, setting us off on a journey. Then we're going straight to the tension of the 5 chord. Dylan did this a lot, jumping from 1 to 5. Bit like blowing in the wind. Back to G. And then we get the 4 chord for a sense of change. So it's kind of like just setting our way out on a journey. Really simple, beautiful, folky chords to opening up. Oh, thanks, Trisha. Yeah, I'm a bit addicted to records. I really like physical media because I spend so much time on the internet and on my phone because of my job, which I do love. You know, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be able to do this for you amazing, fabulous people. But sometimes I feel like I need to kind of just put technology down. So that's why I always listen to records rather than use my phone and stuff. And yeah, something nice about opening up the vinyl and putting the record, putting the stylus down and everything. But yeah, you should see our lounge, Trisha. It's taken up by records. Right, let's have a look at the next line. Now, next line we've got that thing where we're going to split a measure in 2. Notice on the second measure. So we have another measure of G. Remember, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to split it into 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the G. So it's a bit like we had in a Super Furry Animal song. That's the 4 leads you into 5, and the tension of the 5 makes you want to go back to 1. So a really classic thing. So if I was to do a verse, it would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, G, D, G, C, G. Now split this next one in half, C, D, and G. Really common thing for Dylan to do. Next 2 lines, G, G to C. Then we get the 1, 5, 1 tension again. Now the next bit's kind of interesting. The chorus starts on the 5 chord, which is kind of unusual, but it works really well because it kind of creates tension right from the start of the chorus. That's resolved when you go to the 1 chord, the G. Then we've got 4, 5, dead simple. The 2 chord, it should say 2 there, it's my mistake, A minor, melancholy, and then that nice tension of the D chord again. Then from there in, really straightforward, G, D, G, C, G, C to D, and G. Then we do that again. So relatively simple once you get that rhythm going, and if you get stuck on that, just do all down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you can, walk, walk, running, running, walk, running, running, walk, running, running. Okay. You'll get this, no problem. See if you can try and remember some of these chords and feel when the chord changes are coming. It will match the lyrics, you'll see. So for instance, if I was just do this first one. Far between sundown's finish, midnight's broken toll, we ducked inside the doorway, thunder crashing. Feel that kind of resolution? As majestic boughs of bolts struck shadows in the sounds, seeming to be the chimes of freedom flashing. And then notice the tension, flashing for the warriors whose strength is not to fight, flashing the unarmed road to fly. should feel like relatively straightforward, and we're just going to keep it going round and round. Really see if you can appreciate the poeticness of this this beautiful song. Tim's saying he's got a Dylan t-shirt with lyrics of Chimes of Freedom on it. Either those lyrics are really small, Tim, or you're really small. Because there's a lot of lyrics, right? So, did it go all the way around? I love that. I'm only teasing, mate. That's absolutely brilliant. I love that. I love that. That's a cool t-shirt to have. Colin's just saying, really interesting to see the numbers and relative actions of the chords rather than just the names each time. Thanks, Colin. Yeah, I think that's really important. That's, you really see the kind of the tension, resolution when you think of chords as numbers. And of course you can play this in other keys if you think of chords in numbers as well, because you just have to count on your hands as well. See. Okay, right then, let's give it a go. My voice might go by the end. Oh, Tim says some of the lyrics. Gotcha. Okay, here we go. There's roll a G. You can hit those sus notes as well if you want to. Like this. Okay, here we go. Far between sundowns finish and midnight's broken toll, we ducked inside the doorway, thunder crashing, as majestic bells of bolt struck, shadows in the sounds, seeming to be the chimes of freedom flashing. Chorus? Flashing for the warriors, strength is not to fight, flashing for the refugees on the unarmed road of flight, and for each and every underdog, soldier in the night, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing in the city's melted furnace. Unexpectedly we watched, with faces hidden while the walls were tightening, as the echo of the wedding bells before the blowing rain dissolved until the bells of the lightning, tolling for the rebel, tolling for the rake, tolling for the luckless, the abandoned and forsakes, tolling for the outcast, burning constantly at stake, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing through the mad mystic hammering of the wall-ripping hail. The sky cracks its poems in naked wonder, that the clanging of the church bells blew far into the breeze, leaving only bells of lightning and its thunder. Chorus. Striking for the gentle, striking for the kind, striking for to fight, flashing the guardians, the protectors of the minds, and the unpulled painter behind, beyond his rightful time, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom Okay, now second half of the page now from the verse. Through the walled cathedral evening, rain unraveled tales for the disrobed faceless forms of no position, tolling for the tongues with no place to bring their thoughts, all down in taken for granted situations, tolling for the deaf and blind, tolling for the mutes, tolling for the mistreated, mateless mother, the mistitled prostitute, for the misdemeanor outlaw, chased and cheated by pursuits, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing, even though a cloud's white curtain in a far-off corner flashed, and hypnotic splattered mist was slowly lifting. Electric lights still stuck like arrows, fiber for the ones condemned to drift or else be kept from drifting, tolling for the searching ones on their speechless seeking trail, for the lonesome hearted lovers, too personal a tale, and for each unharmed gentle soul misplaced inside a jail, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. Let's bring it right down for this last verse, the last chorus. Here we go. Starry-eyed and laughing, I recall when we were old, trapped by no track, for hours they hang suspended, as we listened one last time, and we watched with one last look, spellbound and swallowed till the toiling ended. Last chorus. Toiling for the aching ones, wounds cannot be nursed, for the countless confused, accused, misused, strung out ones, and worse, and for every hung-up person in the whole wide universe, and we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. Well done, everyone. Well done for making it all the way through. I don't know if anyone else's voices were going by the end. It's a long old song, isn't it? Give me a second. That's better. Okay. So that was pretty epic, right? But I mean, that's what a lot of Dylan songs were like. The original version of Like a Rolling Stone had 17 verses. Imagine that. My fingers were getting sore by the end. So yeah. Isn't it incredible? Isn't it an incredible song though? Even if it had no melody, right? And you just sung those words. Wow. Just like totally amazing. Really brilliant. And I love that it shows that poetry doesn't have to be rhyming. Some of the ways those syllables just kind of they get spewed out by Dylan. It's just amazing. So yay! Well done, everyone. Fantastic. Now, if you found that a bit of a slog, this next one's a lot more simple and straightforward, but also brilliant. So this next one is Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. Yeah, me too, Karen, totally. You'll notice I was really concentrating on the words. I got a couple wrong because I just couldn't read them quick enough, but yeah. So this one is an absolute classic. This one was released as a single in the UK, Paint It Black. It wasn't actually on an album at all. Thanks, Jenny. But on the American album, this will show you what a nerd I am. I've got both the American versions and the UK albums versions of the Rolling Stones kind of back catalogue. And on the English version, the opening song is what is it? It's Mother's Little Helper, which is also an absolutely cracking song, right? But on the side one of Aftermath, in the US version, they did Paint It Black, and I think that gives it a real like big heavy start, which is amazing. This song was originally envisaged as kind of a bit more of a laid back, almost like soul song, which is kind of interesting. And then I think was it Bill Wyman? It's all in the fascinating facts in the back. Thanks to Barbara and Karen for your help with those. One of the Stones, anyway, I think it's Bill Wyman, played organ to give it a different feel. And then you had the Charlie's really unusual kind of South American beat on this one, which is fantastic. And then Brian Jones, who, interestingly, if you're coming to Cheltenham, I can show you where his grave is. He was a Cheltenham boy, Brian Jones, before he moved to London. Sorry. America on the brain this week, honestly. Before he moved to London, he was from Cheltenham, and he played sitar on this one, which all those things, the kind of change in the rhythm, those really cool drums, the organ, and then the sitar, gives this one a real kind of interesting, complex feel, which I think is fantastic. The melody, the main melody as well, this kind of, let me see if I can come on close cam this. That's based on something called the E melodic minor scale. So it's quite a dark sounding scale, which is kind of interesting. We'll check that out in a minute and I'll show you how to do it. But the basis of this song is really simple. We're in a minor key now. You can tell that because the song sounds dark. Da, 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 da. It's got a darkness to it, hasn't it? And the lyrics really go to highlight that as well. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those early ones in Drani, Brian Jones, he didn't get enough credit, and I know he basically got kicked out of the band before he passed away, but a lot of those early stuff, if you listen to the Brian Jones instrumentation, it just changes everything. Listen to, let's try and think of the song. There's that, do, 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 do. No, I can't think of the second word. It'll come to me later. But yeah, it's a beautiful instrumentation by Brian Jones on that one. Got no expectations. Got no expectations. Listen to Brian Jones's part on that. It's just amazing. Anyway, so this one just flips between the one chord, which is E minor, which feels resolved, and then the tension of the 5 chord. Now, you might see B7 and think, oh my gosh, that's going to be crazy hard. But have a look at the chord diagrams here. If you don't already know this, there's many ways you could play a B7. You could do it like this. You could even do it way up here, kind of like this. There's all sorts of different places you can play it. But I like to do this shape, which is 4, 3, 2 off from nose to toes. The brilliant thing, James Hill often refers to this as a chord twins when he does his chord twins workshop. It pairs beautifully with the E minor, which is the 1 chord, tension of the 5 chord, and back to E minor. And notice it's exactly the same fingerings. You can just scooch that one up and move it up. That's B7. Move these 2 down, and that one down is E minor. You can take all 3 fingers off and move them in one go if you like, But if you find that difficult, kind of just scout ahead with this one like so. Okay. So E minor like this. B7. Then we go back. That's most of the song, really straightforward. There I'm just doing a simple walk, running, but this time we've got one extra one. Walk, running, walk. So one extra run from the 6/8 time we're doing. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Walk, running, walk, running. And that's as simple as that for the verses. That's all you've got to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colours anymore, I want them to turn back. Nice, right? It worked. Nose to toes, that's one of my favourite catchphrases in Drani, that one. Leslie, I knew you had good taste. Mine too, actually. So, yeah, mine too. Fantastic. So, that's the verses. Now, the choruses are a little bit more complex because we've got those measures that are cut in two again. But relatively straightforward chords. We've got, oh gosh, what have I done here? Let's just bring this back over here a little bit. Made it really big and then disappear. So we start with the one chord again. This time we go to the D chord, which is technically that's like the flatted D chord. But because we're in a minor, if that was major key, it'd be flatted. But because we're minor key, it's normal. So E minor to D, and then G to D. It's almost like that D's working as the tension chord, isn't it? A bit like the 5 chord in a major key. But we relieve it by going to the minor chords. And then the next line starts the same again. This time we get the 4 chord coming in, which then leads to the tension of the 5 chord. You can play the A with these 2 fingers and then move them up and put this one down. Notice we're not barring here, we're just putting 3 fingers down. Okay. Now just before we do this, have a look, if we just have a look through the rest of these sheets, let me just move it up a bit and shrink it. Okay, all I want to do is just show you something on screen. Have a look at the, you know how I talk about chord progressions? Notice that the 4 chord so often leads to the 5 chord. You see it in that song. You see it in this song. Look at that 4 and 5 on the second line there. That's C to D. Okay. Down here, C to D, C to D. That's 4 to 5 in the key of G. If we move back, here we've got it. Have we got 4 to 5 here? Not quite in this one, but this one we have as well. So here we've got C, F, G. The F and the G are the 4 to the 5. So quite often that 4 chord will lead beautifully into the 5 chord, and it's just raising up in pitch and raising the tension, which is really lovely. So it's kind of it should feel relatively natural and sound quite natural when you play it. Okay, let's have a go at one of those choruses. We'll do it slowed down and then we'll speed it up, all right? So we'll stay on this page and we'll just do the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor, D, G, D, E minor. We go again, E minor, D, G, D, A now, and then move it up to that B7. Let's do it one more time. E minor, D, G, D, E minor. We go again. E minor, D, G, D, A, and B7. Okay. Now, if If you're starting out and those chords are quite tricky and you get a little bit lost on the chorus, just join in on the verses. Not a problem at all to do that. It will sound really, really great, and it will give you great practices going between the 1 and 5 chord in a minor key, moving those fingers up and down. So there's always something to practice. Now, I've put this scale to solo with, and you can use this scale to solo with, and that's what the vocal melody is based on. Let's just look at this together because it's really good fun. If you take your first finger and put it on the 4th fret of the C string, your second one down, that's an E note. If you go up 2 higher, that's an F sharp. And you go up 1 higher, that's a G. Okay. This is based on something called the melodic minor scale. Okay. I'm going to get you to go up 1 note higher to the A on the next string. E, F sharp, G, and then just hit this 5th fret here. Sorry, starting from 4. 4, 6, 7, 5 there. Now this is really cool. If you come back down, that's the opening phrase, isn't it? I see a red door and I... Quite often lyricists will just use a scale to create a whole melody. How cool is that? At that bit it dips back to a C sharp, a D sharp, and you can play that here, which is the top line on your A string, but he goes lower on the original melody to this D sharp here. I'll show you. So you can actually, if you want to, have a go at doing the vocal melody in the instrumental breaks, which sounds really, really, really cool. I'll show you. I think I've got backing track. Yeah, let me show you. So you can do a little kind of riff like that. You can also use it just to kind of noodle with if you want to be a bit Keith Richardsy, just do your own thing. So you can kind of do some improvisation with that scale, which sounds really, really nice. When it goes to this bit, I normally switch out to a normal E minor pentatonic. This is going to be too much to explain tonight, but that's just your one that we did with the G major scale. That shape there, it's on your sheets on there on the Bells of Rimney. It's this one here. The reason being that Mick Jagger shifts his melody to use notes from that scale when it goes to the chorus. It makes it feel like it's almost going from a major key to a minor key, which is really, really nice. But that's what's happening. But don't worry, it's only slow. Trisha's just asking, how do I do the last 3 lower notes? Let me show you, Trisha. It's not as bad as it looks. So remember, we're going up and down. And then you just keep going, just back 1 fret. And you go back up. And then back to where you started. So... Whoops, I'm going wrong now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, here we go, down. Okay, so once you get back to the bottom of the scale, it's just 4, 3, 4, 6, 4, 3, E, D flat, E, G flat, E, D flat. Takes a bit of thinking about. I think I've put sharps there as well because they're the key rim, but you can think of them as flats. Sorry, there's quite a lot to think about there. But yeah, have a little noodle. See if you can find the notes. Sometimes your fingers will just want to go lower to that note anyway. I just give you one example because that's quite cool. I see a red door and you kind of feel I want, it feels like it wants to go down. Wanted paint, it painted black. Do you see what I mean? So you can kind of feel it sometimes that it wants to go down, which is really nice. So yeah. Tim's saying classic recipe for 8-bar solos. First 4 bars the melody, next 4 bars noodles. That's a great way to think about it. So you could play the original riff at the start of the instrumental and then improvise after that. That's what Tim's saying, which sounds really cool. I'll show you how to do it actually. To that bit again. So yeah, that's a really nice way to solo to highlight the melody and then go up. It'd be even better if we had a sitar, right? Yeah, channeling my inner balalaika. I love it, Colin. Yeah, it feels like it wants that twang, doesn't it? Which is really nice. So yeah, that's it, Trisha. And it's all based on that melodic minor scale. That's why it has that kind of that darkness to it, which is quite amazing. A lot of minor key blues is based on this scale as well. Okay, should we give it a go? Indrana's saying, stop mentioning noodles. My stomach is growling. Mine too. I haven't had my tea yet, Indrani, so mine too. Okay. He's a clever chap, that Tim, isn't he, Karen? Definitely. Let's give it a go then, guys. So thanks ever so much for everything tonight. Thank you for joining me again. It's been a pleasure to see you all. It's really special that you guys show up every week. Otherwise, I'd be on my own shouting out into the void, wouldn't I? So really, really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see some of you in person this year as well, which is going to be super, super exciting. Not long to the cruise this year. And then we've got Sore Fingers and the festivals in the summer. It's going to be marvellous. I'm also thinking, I mentioned on the Facebook group, if anyone's not on there, that I'm going to arrange a Learn Ukulele with Matt meetup as well. So if anyone's come into the festival this summer in Cheltenham or the retreat afterwards or both, or even neither, and you just happen to be over in the UK or live in the UK, we're going to have a get together in the summer as well. So it might be a jam, might just be getting together down the pub in a pub garden, or maybe even going for a walk somewhere beautiful would be nice, wouldn't it? But I thought it'd be really nice for us all to get together this summer. So let's do that. I'll arrange. I'm going to create a Facebook group and maybe even a WhatsApp group so we can chat and start planning, which should be great. I'll stick around to say goodbye and see if there's any questions at the end. But thanks heaps, everyone. Let's have a bash at our last song all together. Thanks, Pam. Here we go. Get those E minors ready. Remember, we're going to do our walk, running, 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 walk. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colours anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they're all painted black, with flowers and my love both never to come back. I've seen people turn their I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door, I must have it painted black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world is black. Try it solo. Then the chords to the chorus. Next half. No more will my green seagull turn a deeper blue. I could not foresee this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, my love will laugh with me before the morning comes. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colours anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. One more solo. I wanna see it painted black, black as the night, black as cold. Wanna see the sun blocked out from the sky. Wanna see it painted black. Yeah. And then let's all shake out an E minor. Yeah! Well done, everyone. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, take care, everyone. Much love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.